And joining me right now here on the Mark Moses Show podcast to preview the 2025 NFL Draft coming up Thursday night from Green Bay, Wisconsin, is my good friend Luke Easterling with Athlon Sports. And yes, he's joining me here in the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. My man, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. It's my Christmas week. You know how it is, man. I love these last few days. Can't wait for the event. It's been another long haul getting here, but we're ready for the real thing.
I know you're busy, so thank you for doing this with me. I know you must get like 900 requests this
always,
week.
man. Nah, man. You go to the top of the list always. You know I got your back. I appreciate it. I love doing it, man. I say yes to just about everything I can this time of year because I love talking about it. And I also have my own show, so I know what it can be to kind of wrangle guests sometimes. So I always have appreciation for that side of things as well. But no, man, I love every bit of it.
Well, I want you to know this. Okay, so the Highland Mint is here in Melbourne, Florida, where they make the Super Bowl coin. So I picked this up today. It's for the NFL Draft, and it says Lambeau Field, Green Bay. No, this is not coming home with me. No Packers stuff in my house, but we're going to be giving away on Thursday in walk-ons.
I respect it. I respect it.
I know you do. Look, I know there's going to be no Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers, New Orleans Saints in your house, correct?
No, not at all. Doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't. And by the way, before I get into my first question, I just want to say this. I've known Luke for a long time. He's been joining me on the radio for like a decade. We've never seen the hair before. This is Old Testament biblical beautiful hair. I hope you know that.
Hey, I will say one thing about the division rival thing. Like, I think it's different for you and the Packers because like the Bucs have dominated the NFC South for like 5 years now. Like none of those teams scare. Like I'm not threatened by any of those teams either. So it's like the Bucs just keep winning the division over and over and over again. So everybody else can fight over rivalries. The Bucs are the cream of the crop. I'm not really scared.
All right, that's his official statement on the subject. We will get to the draft. I will start with this. Do you think this is a sexy draft like we had last year? And it's okay, whatever your answer is, Lou.
No, it's not. But I almost like that better. Like, last year it was dominated by all those quarterbacks at the top, and then the receiver class was historic. This year is a meat and potatoes draft. This is a like very few superstars, but it's going to have a ton of high quality starters that are going to be in the league for a long time. Defensive trenches, so many good players, so much depth in that class. The running back class, super deep. I actually like the receiver class this year. Nobody could hold a candle to last year's, but I like the receiver group a little bit. Yeah, there's plenty of talent to be had, man, but it's not last year, but there's going to be a lot of really good players that come out of this class.
Well, I know this morning it was reported that Cam Ward is going number 1 to Tennessee. Are you on board with Tennessee taking him at number 1?
Yeah, I mean, that's really been the case. We kind of thought it was leaning that way. And then when Tennessee kind of respectfully canceled their private workout with Shedeur, I think it was a week or two ago. I think that was the last, that was when you could put it in stone that they were going to take Ward. But I see the vision. He's for reference, he's the 13th player on my board, but you have to understand the importance of that position and how you can take. Cleveland is a perfect example. Cleveland had Joe Thomas for over a decade, Hall of Fame left tackle. They didn't win anything. They've had Myles Garrett for another decade almost. They haven't won anything. They have Hall of Fame players at other premium positions, left tackle and pass rusher on the edge. You don't get more premium than that without taking a quarterback, and it hasn't meant anything to their winning. So the Browns and the Giants are kind of in the same boat, whereas they need a quarterback more than anything else. And the Titans, I think Cam Ward is good enough. The ceiling is high enough, and it makes too much of a difference to your success rate. You could take Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, and they could be every bit as advertised and be a Hall of Famer by the end of all things, and you could still never be a perennial playoff contender because, again, the Browns have done that for 20, 25 years now. So it's about the position importance, but I do see the talent, the mental and physical traits with Cam Ward. I see the ceiling and the vision to where he could become a special player, and I think that's why he's widened that gap between himself and the rest of the quarterback class and why he'll go number 1 on Thursday.
Number 2 with Cleveland. Is it best defensive player on the board, or can we get a shocker at number 2 with Cleveland?
I think honestly the shocker at 2 could be a trade. Like if they get like just a ridiculous trade to move out of that pick, if somebody wants to go up and get Travis Hunter, if somebody wants to go up and get Abdul Carter, I think they would be open to that. But if they stay at 2, I think Travis Hunter makes the most sense for them. It seems to be that's the way they would lean if they stay there. I'd be fine with Abdul Carter as well. Again, I think there's 3 truly elite players in this draft. It's those 2 guys and Ashton Genty. So I think, again, if they stick there, it's going to be one of those 2 guys, probably Travis Hunter. But if somebody comes in at the last minute with a crazy deal to get ahead of the Giants for whatever one of those 2 guys they want, or maybe it is Ashton Genty, which would be crazy to see a team trade up to 2 for a running back. That'd be a lot of fun. But no, I don't think the pick would be surprising. I think the surprise would be somebody else trading into that spot.
If you're the Giants and Browns and you're the front office, you just tell your fans, look, this is not a good quarterback draft. It's not. We're taking the best player available. Maybe we'll take a flyer on a quarterback in a late round and just deal with it. Is that how you sell it to the fans?
I think you sell it to the fans by trading back into the end of the first round by the time the night's over and taking Jalen Milroe or Jackson Dart maybe. Milroe is the guy that I would take the swing on. I think the upside is just astronomical with a guy like that. I know it's going to take some time. It's going to take some patience, but same thing was said about Lamar Jackson. He was the 32nd overall pick. Baltimore traded back into the first round to take a swing on his upside, and we see how that's worked out. It's not going to happen for everybody, but I think Milroe has that kind of talent. He's got all the arm strength. Arm strength's not a problem, and obviously he's an elite athlete as a runner. He's the guy that if I'm Cleveland or the Giants, I take the best, one of the truly elite players in the draft. Like I said, it's either Carter or Hunter, and then I'm picking again very early in the second round. I trade back, trade up a couple picks to get back into the first round, get that extra 5th-year option on the first round pick for the rookie contract for your quarterback, and take a swing on a high upside guy like Milroe or even Dart. That's the way I would sell it to the fans, because then you have your cake and eat it too. Then you still have a long-term quarterback plan with a prospect that's got some potential, and you still came out of it with one of the truly best players in the draft at the top of the draft. I think that's best case scenario for both of those teams.
Okay, the Jaguars at 5. Look, dude, you've been in Florida a long time. I've been here over a decade. It's like whatever the Jaguars do, I don't know if I could trust them. I'm sorry. They've been in the top 10 so many times over the last 25 years. What are your thoughts of the Jaguars at 5?
Well, the fun part about that is now all that history and all those patterns go out the window because there's a new sheriff in town, right? I mean, it's all James Gladstone is younger than I am. He's the general manager of the Jaguars now, and so Liam Cohen and his staff coming in. It's a whole new world there. You don't have Trent Baalke making the draft picks. It's not Tom Coughlin era. This is a whole new regime that has no track record whatsoever. Liam Cohen never been a head coach. James Gladstone never been a general manager. We have no clue what they're going to do. And so I think that's why you're seeing this week a lot more buzz about everybody. I was laughing. I was actually on a Jaguars podcast last night, Touchdown Jaguars podcast, and we were talking about how everybody just ignores the Jaguars until it's convenient. Like everybody was like, oh, the Jaguars, we'll just put Mason Graham there at 5 and move on, and nobody cares. Like now it's like, oh, these top 4 picks are looking pretty solid. Oh, the Jaguars could be fun now. Like everybody's like, oh yeah, now you loving me now, aren't you? Because I do think the draft kind of starts with Jacksonville at 5. I think it could be really fun. Everybody has had Mason Graham there for like 4 months now. I started mocking Tyler Warren to them about a month ago, the tight end out of Penn State, which I think would be really fun. But the closer we get, I think that's the conversation. I think it's going to be an offensive playmaker. I think it's going to be Tyler Warren. It might be Teteroa McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona, who better to know the value of 2 elite wide receivers than Liam Cohen, who just got to work with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in Tampa Bay last year, to have Brian Thomas Jr. and Tet McMillan have fun with that opposing defenses, and Trevor Lawrence would have a field day. And I think, honestly, that the wild card there is they may just go ahead and take Ashton Genty themselves at number 5 because, Travis Etienne, he's okay. Take Bigsby, he's okay. They make a decent team together. You can put both of those guys together into one player, and they wouldn't be anywhere close to the player Ashton Genty is. Would not shock me at all if they just say, hey, this is a guy that helps transform our offense. He's one of the best players in the draft. We're not going to let somebody trade up for him. They might be willing to trade back if somebody wants to get ahead of the Raiders to get Ashton Genty. But if they stay there and take Ashton Genty, I just wouldn't be shocked at all.
Is Genty the name you are hearing that's really starting to rise up here a couple days out of the draft?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if rise up is the right way to put it, just because I think he's been mocked at 6 to the Raiders for quite a while now. I think 10 to the Bears and maybe 12 to the Cowboys was his floor. 5 is, again, one slot higher than I think a lot of us thought he could go. But the interesting part is if somebody trades up to 2 or 3 to get him, I think that would be where you get into the surprising, realm of things, because again, I think he's comparable to Saquon Barkley as a running back. I think he really is. And so he's not quite that like rare athlete maybe, but I think as a runner and a pure running back at the position in terms of the mental traits and the combination of the physical, he's absolutely that kind of player. And again, he's one of the top 3 players in the draft. There's a significant drop off in talent, I think, from that top 3 to the rest of the group. And so if you think that's worth going up and getting, and you see the difference that guys like Barkley, guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs, all these elite running backs, you got to pay for those guys. Those guys, you can't find those guys in the 3rd or 4th round. You can get productive guys in the 3rd or 4th round. You're not getting Ashton Genty types that can take over an offense and be a superstar. I don't think so. So that is the guy that I think could go a little higher than we expected, but the difference between 5 or 6 and 2 and 3 is huge.
We're here with Luke Easterling with Athlon Sports. It's still blowing my mind seeing you in person. We've done radio so many years in a row. Now we're turned to the 21st century here. And he's joining me here on the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. We're talking NFL Draft. Round 1 coming up Thursday night there in Green Bay. You're insane if you trade up to get Genty at 2. If you give up multiple picks, okay, here's how I look at it. I want your thoughts.
I hope it happens. I want to see it. Just for the chaos. I would love it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Saquon on the Giants, yeah, great player, does nothing. Saquon on Super Bowl contender turns into Superman. That's my thing. You go to Genty and it goes to a 3-13 team. I'm not getting 2,000 yards. I'm not. And
that's a great point. It's a great point. I think he makes the biggest difference for a team that already has, a solid offensive line, already has the ability. And Jacksonville is an interesting team to put in there because I don't think that offensive line is there yet, but they also have 10 picks in this draft.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got 2 thirds, 2 fourths, 2 sixths. They've got the ability to rebuild that roster in a lot of ways. I know they have some different needs to take care of, but they could add and bolster that offensive line to the point where it could be helpful. But yeah, I agree with you. I think him going to a team that is ready to win a Super Bowl with a solid offensive line and a good defense is different than him going to a team that's a bottom 5 team in the league that doesn't have any of those things, because he's going to have a lot tougher of a time being the best version of himself without the supporting cast. I completely agree.
I'll take the Penn State tight end for the Jaguars. You know what it is? I think of Brock Bowers last year. In hindsight, Bowers should have gone higher. He is a stud. I think I have no problem if that's what Trevor Lawrence gets as a safety blanket over the middle. I'd take him, Luke. How about you?
And that's why when the idea hit me about a month ago, because I just kept, Mason Graham just kept making too much sense. It fills a big need. He's, that type of player in terms of value, and it just made sense. And then I just had to start thinking out of the box, and I was like, we got an offensive-minded head coach coming in here, and yes, they need defensive line help, but first of all, the difference between Mason Graham, who I do think is the best defensive lineman in this draft, and whoever the defensive lineman they could get at the top of the 2nd round is not that big. I don't think there's a massive gap there. I really don't. And so if you're telling me I have to spend the number 5 overall pick to get Mason Graham, or I could wait till 36, 37 and get Tyleik Williams or TJ Sanders out of South Carolina, Darius Alexander from Toledo, those types of guys at the top of the 2nd round, I don't feel it necessary to spend a top 5 pick on Mason Graham. And then I look and I say, hey, I'm bringing in an innovative young offensive coordinator, now head coach in Liam Cohen. And we have to understand that this ship sinks or swims with Trevor Lawrence. We've already paid him. He's already got the contract. He's already the franchise quarterback for the next 3 or 4 years, at least because of the money. You have got to make sure he has what he needs. And then they released Evan Ingram. So, Brenton Strange, you're hoping he takes another step in the development, but you can't bank on that as a sure thing. You have to give Trevor Lawrence whatever it takes to make him hit that ceiling that we all knew he could hit when he was the unquestioned number 1 overall pick when he was coming out. And so Tyler Warren, I just look at a guy who's basically George Kittle in Rob Gronkowski's body, and I don't see how that's not worth a top 5 pick. Again, my board, he's the number 5 player overall on my board, regardless of position. So it's not too early to take him there. I know some teams will actually prefer Colston Loveland to him, but that's more of like a offense style thing. What type of tight end you need. I think because Tyler Warren is so well-rounded, he's the more complete player of those two guys. He gives you more in the run game as a blocker, and you can do different things with your formations with him. I wouldn't count him out there at all. And again, a part of it is because it's got to be about helping Trevor Lawrence. And what does that better than a tight end that does everything that Tyler Warren does?
Okay, on your big board real quick, is Shedeur Sanders, is he going to the Raiders, the Saints? Where do you have him exactly?
So Shedeur is the last first-round grade I had. So I have 24 players in this draft with a first-round grade. And to anybody who's like, that makes no sense. There's 32 picks. So that doesn't always mean there's 32 players who are worth a first-round pick. That's the NFL is like that too. Every team, no team has 32 first-round grades. I guarantee you, especially in this draft. But Shedeur is the number 24 player overall on my board. He's the last player that ended up with a first-round grade. Again, Cam Ward was 13, so there's an 11-player difference between those two guys. I see a very high floor for Shedeur Sanders. I think he's a kid that is very accurate with the football, makes good decisions. Obviously, he's able to be productive despite not having a great offensive line at Colorado. And I think the thing that will set him apart is the mental toughness. This kid has had a target on his back his whole life. He's been Deion's son. He's had to deal with the haters and the doubters. And like he is everybody. There's been a certain group of people that's always waiting for that kid to fail. And he just continues to produce. He did it at Jackson State. Then he transfers with his dad. He was like, oh, dad can't save you now against Power 5 competition. He still kept producing and putting up big numbers. And again, I think, especially if you're a team like the Giants or the Steelers, like you're going to have a rabid fan base that's ready to eat this kid for lunch if he doesn't live up to it. He's going to be ready for that. He's not going to be shaken by media criticism or fan criticism. He's already heard it all. Like he's already dealt with all of it. So I think that's maybe his best trait. I think again, I would start that conversation at 2 and 3 with the Browns and the Giants, just because I think that position makes too much of a difference. But the Saints at 9 have to be involved there. I think if he's still on the board, Pittsburgh at 21, the Rams at 26, I think are a dark horse team for a quarterback. I don't know if Shedeur would be their guy, but looking, beyond the Matthew Stafford era, they need to start planning for that. He could not go in the first round at all. I'm not saying that's smart, but I'm saying that's possible. There's a realm of possibility where he doesn't go in the first round at all. If every other team is just like, no, we don't want any of these quarterbacks in the first round. We're going to wait and see who falls to us in the second. There's a wide range of possibilities with him, but I believe he's worth a first round pick.
Let's end with this, and I appreciate coming on. Again, Luke's a very busy man this time of year, as he called it Christmas earlier. Okay, my Bears at 10. Best offensive lineman. Don't care. Don't care what they did in free agency. But give me 50 offensive linemen. That's what I want, Luke. Go for it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. If you listen to Ryan Poles, the GM, talk, it seems like he likes Braxton Jones a lot more than I do. No offense to Braxton Jones. I think he's been a hell of a player for a 5th-round pick out of Southern Utah. Like, he's definitely outplayed his draft slot. But I think left tackle is really the position where they still need the biggest upgrade, and I think makes the biggest difference to where that team is now. I think there's a lot of different things. You could add a tight end like Colston Loveland or Tyler Warren at 10. You could add Ashton Genty if he's on the board there, which again, I don't think he gets there. It's way too early, I think, for Omarion Hampton, the second best running back in this draft, who I do think goes top 20, but I don't think 10 would be right. You have to think about foundational building blocks there. And again, about protecting your investment in Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams, similar to Trevor Lawrence, right? Everything sinks or swims with whether or not that kid pans out. So you've got to give him everything possible. And I think they did a great job of addressing the interior in free agency. They signed Drew Dahlman. They traded for Jonah Jackson. They traded for Joe Thuney. Darnell Wright, I think, is still ascending and going to develop into a solid right tackle. Left tackle is really where I think they need the biggest upgrade. And if you look at where they're sitting at 10, I think Will Campbell and probably Armand Membu are off the board there. Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas, you start talking about him there. Josh Simmons from Ohio State. I know he's coming off the knee injury, but he was looking like a top 10 pick before he got hurt. There's a lot of options there. I think they would love to move back and get some value and get a better match there. But if they're forced to stick and pick, Kelvin Banks Jr., I think, is the guy that if he's still on the board, this is a guy that played. I mean, he started as a freshman at left tackle at Texas. I mean, he has seen the best pass rushers college football has to offer. Technique needs a little cleaning up, but he's also barely 21 years old. He's got a ton of starting experience, but he's still a really young prospect who still has so much room to grow. He's the guy that I think if Bears fans, it wouldn't be sexy, it wouldn't be flashy. I think that's the pick that could make a big difference to Caleb Williams' development.
His name's Luke Easterling. We're going to stop there at 10. I know he'll come back on in a couple weeks. We'll recap everything. My man, thank you so much for your help. And yes, follow this guy, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff for the latest on the NFL draft. Have a great one and good luck with your coverage, buddy.
I appreciate it, Mark. Take care, buddy.